Okay, Torah concept in the New Testament, let us lay aside besetting sin. Okay, so the Torah contains several deep structural parallels to the concept of laying aside besetting sin that's spoken of in Hebrews 12, verse 1. While the New Testament frames it as a personal, communal call to shed persistent sin that entangles, the Torah embeds the principle in a covenantal purification, removal of habitual defilement, and decisive separation from reoccurring transgression. So, the Torah parallels to laying aside besetting sin. First example is recurring sin and atonement. Leviticus chapter 4 and 5. We read, these chapters outline sin offerings for repeated or habitual reoccurring transgressions. The Torah acknowledges that sin can be ongoing, provides a system for recognition, confession, and removal. The Hebrew word chet and ashamã offerings reflect a need to lay aside guilt and sin and restore covenant alignment. Next example, Yom Kippur as National Purge. Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement, is not just for isolated sins, but for accumulated defilement. It's a systematic cleansing, a laying aside of all that is built up and entangled in people. Next example, Idolatry and Covenant Violation. Exodus 32, the golden calf. After the people fell into idolatry, Moshe calls for decisive action. He says, whoever is on the Lord's side, come to me. Okay, so this is the moment of radical separation from besetting sin, not just repentance, but a call to action and allegiance. Next example, call to circumcise the heart. Deuteronomy 10, verse 16. It says, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be no more stiff-necked. So this metaphor speaks directly to removing internal resistance to God, the stubbornness that leads to repeated sin. It is a spiritual purging, laying aside the root of habitual rebellion. And the last example, choose life, not death, in Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. Moshe exhorts Israel to decisively turn from sin and choose covenantal faithfulness. This is a volitional laying aside of destructive patterns. Hebrews 12:1 urges believers to lay aside every weight and the sin which easily entangles. The Torah parallels this through the sacrificial system for habitual sin, national purging of accumulated defilement, calls to radical separation from rebellion, and heart-level transformation and volitional choice. In both the New Testament and the Torah, the call is not just to avoid sin, but to decisively remove what entangles, whether through ritual, repentance, or renewal. This is how the author of the book of Hebrews taught Torah. The Torah has not passed away.